China overhang, Beth? How much does it matter to the investor base right now?
Yeah, what I would say is all the information around China is important to consider. It is going to be a couple $2 billion impact one way or another. And there were so many sudden shifts going into this print around whether China was going to take that supply or not. But I would say ultimately any dip should be bought. And this is where, a broader view is extremely important right now. The market has never seen a product like NVIDIA's previous GPUs, Hopper, ever. Nobody in the tech industry has seen that before in terms of the amount of revenue it drove. Now imagine they have 2 generations of GPUs, Blackwell and Blackwell Ultra. They are simultaneously preparing to ramp. So this is going to be a back half loaded year for NVIDIA. And that piece, I would not let the China noise interrupt that piece.
Okay, talk to us about, therefore, the scale of the demand issue that they face. Everyone says this is not a demand issue. They've got plenty of it. It's always a supply issue. How much cannibalization goes on into ultimately what happens with the older GPUs? How much have you seen in your numbers and your data crunching real appetite and sales of the latest Blackwell architecture?
Yeah, to keep it simple, we still see alpha here. A year ago, I had put into print in an analysis, we would see a 50 billion data center segment by the close of this year. Analysts had 33 billion. Now, this quarter, with only half the year through, we're at 41 or 42 billion for the data center tomorrow evening. Wow. Meaning the likelihood we close this year at 50 billion data center is very high. Now, keep in mind, this is still happening for next year. Analysts are far too low, not only with their NVIDIA estimates, but their CapEx estimates. So we get to look at both things, right? We get to look at how NVIDIA is preparing to ramp these GPUs. And we also have a beautiful number around the demand in CapEx perfectly packaged for us. And it's blowing away analyst estimates as of 2-3 weeks ago when Big Tech reported.
So how big could NVIDIA become?
I have a 200 billion data center segment, over the next couple of quarters. I think we see a 300 billion data center segment, which would translate to a 6 trillion market cap off Blackwell and Blackwell Ultra. I like to go by GPU generation. That's how I formed this thesis for 7 years. So Blackwell Ultra, we should see 6 trillion from NVIDIA. And again, on a run rate, 200 billion to 300 billion data center revenue. So I'm talking potentially another 100% between now and the close of fiscal year 2027.
But we're not even talking about Rubin, which, of course, Jensen Huang's been over in Taiwan talking to CSMC about already. So scale that again. Where do we go from the 6 trillion?
And that is where, that's a great point. And the one reason I haven't brought up Rubin is I would want to see more of the AI data center energy problem resolved. And that is where diversification within the energy area, these companies that can provide time to power is a great way to position once we go into Rubin, which will really push the upper limits of what the grid is capable of today.
Okay. So therefore, you're thinking about the power providers. You're thinking, though, even in these edge cases, there are other chip companies out there desperately trying to show their prowess when it comes to energy efficiency. Do you dare to go there, or is it more actually the underlying infrastructure?
I think it's a combination of looking at alternative forms of energy. And what I would say is that right now, we are all really focused on CoWoS capacity from TSM and the supply and the hardware side. Where the constraint will become is the power side. And that piece needs to be resolved somewhere between Blackwell Ultra and Rubin.
And so that is a bet on a GE Vernova or like a company that's going into nuclear, or is it somewhere else, Beth?
Bloom Energy is one that we've held successfully. They solve that time to power. Nuclear can take many years to build out. And again, we're really looking pretty soon here, as in like these GPUs are just going to sit on a shelf if you can't power them. Nobody wants that. Nobody's spending their CapEx for that reason. So Blackwell Ultra is really nudging the power supply deals we're seeing, but now Rubin's going to require it. And I think it's somewhere between, the next 1 to 2 years where a great AI portfolio is diversified with exposure to energy.